All right, so first off, what we're going to do here is we're going to look at our layers. So to, to go to your layers, you go up here to this bar, you click on it, and it shows you all the different layers that are loaded up on this drawing. As you see now, there is only one layer, the layer 0. We're going to add in some more layers. To do that, in this middle section here, we're going to click on this 3 sheets of paper over here called Layer Properties. So click on that button, and it brings up this screen. So now, on this screen, what I want you to do, and I will zoom in here a little bit for you, if I can find my zoom button, that is. Sorry. All right, there we go. So we're going to create some new layers. To create new layers, you're going to come up here and you're going to click on where it says New Layer. So you can click on that button. And the first layer we're going to create is going to be called Object. So we're going to create a layer called Object. Another new layer called Hidden. Another new layer called Center. Whoops, if I could spell center correctly. Another new layer called Title Block. Oh, come on. Title Block. And another one called Layout. I'm trying to look to see if I forgot it. Center, Hidden, Title Block, Layout, Object. I think that is all your layers. Okay? So now, when we look at these, we're going to look at all these different things on the layer control. So first off in this first column, this one says on. So a little light bulb, as you see, is glowing yellow. It is on. If I click on the light bulb, it turns the light bulb to blue. It is turned off, so that layer is off. Not very often do we do that on and off. Actually, most of the time, I would say stay away from this because it's really going to mess with you. You can't move anything. You can't change the color of anything. You can't do anything to anything that's on a layer that's turned off. You can't do anything to it. So I'd say avoid the off layer, on and off layer. But look at this next one. It's called freeze. This one we'll use quite often. If we click at it, we click on the first one. Oops, you can't freeze the layer you're on. Sorry. Click on it. It turns that sun into a snowflake, saying it's frozen. All that does is it turns off the visibility of that layer. So on a really complex drawing, let's say a drawing of this school building. If you had everything unfrozen on the drawing, you'd have so many different layers showing electrical and plumbing and HVAC and so many other things. It'd get really confusing having so many things on there. So that's the freeze and thaw. Next, you have your lock column. That you can see I used it the other day on that one example drawing when I locked the layer, and that just means nothing can be moved on that layer, but it can still be visible. All right. Next, this is our plot layer. What this does, as a little picture of a printer there, it turns your layer off so your layer won't be printed. This is actually where we're going to start talking about our layers we have created, and the layout layer is a layer that we don't want to have print. So we're going to click on the little printer of that. It's a little circle with a slash on there. It says that layer will not print when your drawing is printed. Next, we'll look at our colors. On the colors, the center layer, we're going to set that to a green. And we're just going to pick this main color green down here, not the ones up there. So green. Hidden layer, we also set to green. The layout layer we'll set to magenta, which is that pink color. And what this actually did for me is reminded me of the other layer I did not create, which was a dimension layer. So we're going to create one more layer called dimension, and the dimension layer we're going to make red. If you think about it, if you're printed on a white piece of paper, dimensions showing up red, they're kind of nice and they kind of stand out in the drawing, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Okay. Next, we're going to go to the line type. Right now it tells you all these line types are continuous, meaning a solid line. We want to click on the center line type where it says continuous, and we want to change this one. To change it, we're going to change and go down here to load. So we have to load up a different one because the only type of lines that are in there are continuous. We're going to go load. I'm going to scroll down in this list until you find center. Oh, I get past it. Center and go OK. While we're here in this thing to load, we're going to go ahead and load one more. and we're going to go ahead and load the hidden line type. And go OK. So now I have center and hidden loaded. Currently I'm on the center line, so notice it's highlighted in blue, continuous. I'm going to click on the one that says center to highlight it, and that's going to make that center layer to the center line type. Next, we're going to go to our hidden line type, click on it, and we're going to change it to the hidden and go OK. So there we have our line types loaded. All the rest we're going to leave on continuous. This next column where it says line weight is what we're going to look at next. That gives our lines different thicknesses. So for example, we're going to start up here towards the top at center. We're going to make the center a nice thin line, which is a 0.3 millimeter. So we're going to go 0.3 millimeter and go OK. Going to make your hidden a 0.3 millimeter also. And while we're doing this, we're going to get rid of all of our 0.3 millimeter, which is also the dimension line. So we're going to go down the dimension line and make it a 0.3 millimeter. Then next, the object line, we're going to make it a 0.5 millimeter. And last but not least, the title block, we're going to make it a 0.7 millimeter. So what that's done is given different weights to all those different line types, which is what we're looking for. Next in this box, we have some other things here after line weight. We have one, if I open it up, it's called transparency. We're not going to worry about that. We don't even mess with it at all. Next is one called new viewport freeze. We're not going to worry about it. And then last but not least, I will talk about that one just a hair, description. If you're on a drawing, as I mentioned before, like of this school building, it's very complex. You might have layers that are named VP wall or LP wall or whatever. You might not know what that means. And that's where you might have a description typed in of what it is. It tells you actually what the LP wall or the VP wall means. You might have a description of it. It gives you a little bit more description of what that layer is. All right. With that, we are done with it. So we can close out of that block. And now we are ready to start doing some stuff on these layers. So currently, let me unfreeze my screen here, or unzoom my screen. Okay, so now what I want you to do is, on each layer, currently I've selected on layer 0. On layer 0, I wanted you to draw a circle and a line. Just any old circle and line out there. And then switch to the center layer, draw a circle and line on your center layer. Then change to your dimension layer and draw a circle and a line. And then to your hidden layer, just each layer draw a circle and a line. All right, so now all of those are done. Obviously, they have different colors on the different layers, but when you look at the 3 white circles and 3 white lines, you really can't tell the difference between those, whether they're on layer 0, or whether they're object line, or layer title block. So what you need to do there is we need to come over to these 3 little pieces of paper in your very bottom, or 3 lines, in your very bottom right corner. You click there, it opens up all these different buttons we can open. These are the buttons that are represented down here on the very bottom bar. There is a button called line weight. You probably don't have a check mark on that, so put a check mark on the button called line weight. Then that makes this button appear down here on the bottom screen, which you can click on, and you can notice the difference here. It actually adds the line weight to your line. So you can see the center lines and hidden lines are that 0.3 millimeter, as well as the dimension lines are that 0.3 millimeter. Then here, you can tell this one is a little bit thicker. This is our object line at 0.5 millimeter. And these two are on our title block layer, which are 0.7 millimeter. And this one are just on our default layer that has no line weight set to it. So there's kind of the difference there in those. You can go ahead and erase those out, and we'll get started on our actual drawing. So now, for our actual drawing, we're going to switch to the title block layer, which is the current layer I'm on. We're going to start a line at 0.5, 0.5. It's a line right down there in that bottom corner for me. You might have to pan around a little bit to see it. Then I'm going to come straight to the right, and we're going to make a line that represents the border we're going to put around a piece of paper. A normal piece of paper is 8.5 by 11, so we're going to make this a half an inch smaller than that all the way around. We're going to make it 7.5 wide, so 7.5 wide by 10 tall, and finish off that fancy little border. Then at the bottom of this, we're going to add in some other details to this. So starting off on the bottom, we're going to offset 0.2 inches above that bottom line. Not one time, but 2 times above that 0.2 inches. So that gives us 2 lines spaced out 0.2 inches apart. Then we're going to offset again at 0.25. So that's got kind of our height dimensions or divisions in this. Now we need to get all our divisions in the width. Real quick, I'm going to pause this. Alright, so here you see your measurements at 2.5 inches for here, 1 inch further for this line, 1.375 from this line to here, and 2 inches from there to there. The way that's going to look on your actual drawing is we're going to come back to our drawing, and we're going to offset 2.5 inches from there to there. We're going to go ahead and trim that off. Then we're going to offset 1 from there to there, offset 1.375 from there to there, and offset, I believe it was 2, if I remember correctly, from there to there. Now, we have to remember how to trim up those lines. I don't remember, so we're going to look back at this drawing and see how to trim those up. Oh, the top one is over there to that 1 inch line. So we're going to trim that one up, and this one's to the 1.375. Alright, let's see what we can remember there. So this one we're going to trim out like that and leave it like this. And this one like that. Is that correct? Did I forget a line? Let's go back and double check. No, I did not. Alright, that's the full line. Alright, I think that is correct. Right there. Alright, so from here, what we're going to do is we need to have all of our text centered up on this. Now, I just noticed I forgot to trim out that line there. I want to have all my text centered up left to right and up and down on here. So I'm going to switch to my layout layer. I'm going to put a layout line across corner to corner on every one of these blocks. So from there to there, a line going across corner to corner on every one of these blocks. Here, there. So that line corner to corner. Then I'm going to use my single line text, which is DT, or D-text, what DT, I don't know. If you just do T, it brings up a paragraph of text. That won't work well for what we're trying to do. Not often do we write a paragraph of text, but we can. So we're just going to go DT for D-text. Then we're going to use our justify options. J, enter for justify. And then we're going to use middle justify. What middle justify it does is it centers it left to right and up and down. I'm going to put it here in this first title block right there. My height is going to be, what do I have my height? I don't remember. I'm going to have fun. So I'm back. We're going to go DT. We're going to go J for justify. That middle justify, once again, is just saying, pick my start point in the middle of that text, or the middle of that layout line, midpoint there. Our height is 0.125, which I did before. And rotation angle is 0, so we can get under there. And I'm just going to type the word title. T-I-T-L-E, title. Then with that is I'm going to copy that word title, that midpoint, that one, that one, that one, the middle of every one of those layout lines out there, which gets me very quickly and easily the text centered up in those title blocks. Now, it's actually not going to say title there. What we are going to do is we're going to modify that text to say what it says here in our title block. So here, this first one's going to say like Northwest. This one's going to say 1-to-1, material, berries, 921, number 1, Engineering Academy, and Mr. Lister. So to do that on your drawing, you're going to double click here, select that, and change this to Engineering Academy. Or was this one like that? That one's supposed to be like that. So let's try this again. Change this one to a late Northwest High. Alright, you're going to have that in there. Now, I realize these are on the wrong layer, but leave them on that layer for now. So go ahead and get those